In this video,
So I'm actually originally from Chicago, Illinois.
what is like the biggest culture shock that you can share with us? We will be talking to a Filipino American,
I gotta be honest, the first 2 years of living in the Philippines, I hated it.
and do you consider yourself a foreigner or a Filipino?
Oh, that's a hard one. You will come across corruption.
That currently moved to the Philippines,
I personally experienced cops that have pulled us over asking for bribes.
and he will be sharing about his experience in Manila. What's your name?
My name is Evan, also called the Savvy Expat on YouTube.
Oh, okay. How is your day so far?
My day is amazing. Yours?
It's amazing as well.
Beautiful Philippines.
Beautiful, yeah, beautiful Philippines. We here, super duper. Like right now, people they kind of live in work. And how is life in the Philippines?
It's more fun in the Philippines. You can't go wrong with living here. The people are kind. You know, we have the energetic traffic behind us. So yeah, very energetic, lovely.
Okay. And by the way, where you from? Can you just give us like, your background of where you came from?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from Chicago, Illinois. Born and raised there. Both my parents are full Filipino, but I was born and raised in Chicago my entire life up until the age of 15. Moved here about 4 years ago, and now we're enjoying life in the Philippines, but originally from Chicago.
Oh, okay, guys. We just need to look for a spot where there's not that much noise because as you guys can see, a lot of people they're kind of passing by, so that we're gonna have a decent interview. We're gonna look for somewhere here in BGC so we can continue with this interview. Is that okay for you?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go, guys. You guys see how crowded it is right now, which means we actually we're just looking for a spot where we will be recording. Cause look at that side there, super duper crowded. Let's go, right? Okay, guys, I think we found another spot again. It's not really too crowded.
Yeah.
Thank you for moving here with me.
Of course.
I appreciate it. And you were talking about living. You are Filipino, but you were born in U.S.
Right.
How do you move from a first world country to a third world country?
I gotta be honest, the first 2 years of living in the Philippines, I hated it in the beginning. I just wasn't used to it. You know, being from a modern and urbanized city like Chicago and then moving to the province for a bit, it was too far outside of my comfort zone. It's like throwing, a caged animal out into the wild. It's different,
Yeah.
it's energetic. And another thing is I had to adjust to the people as well. Something I wasn't used to is that in Philippine culture, we're very conservative and we like to save face a lot, meaning that we're not upfront and direct with the way we talk. Whereas in Chicago and Americans in general, we're very direct. If I feel this way, I'm going to tell you. But if I were to do that here in the Philippines, which I have hurt people's feelings at some points without me realizing it. So just knowing how to interact with the locals, how to adjust to the culture was something that took me a long time to do. But after those 2 years were over, and I'm like, okay, the people here, they joke this way, they talk this way, they're very kind, they're very, a little bit more shy, they take time to warm up, then that's when I understood the dynamics to say, all right, I'll conduct myself according to their culture, not my culture.
Okay. Do you think it was an advantage for you to move to the Philippines?
Oh, absolutely. Like I say, moving to the Philippines was the best decision that my family has ever made. My overall happiness is better than it's ever been. Our cost of living is lower than it's ever been. And even our social life is a lot more abundant than back in the U.S. The U.S. is, not that I was in the rat race yet, but I attending school, extracurricular activities, it's constant go, 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 go. But when you move here to the Philippines, things are a little bit more slow-paced. Although it is a little bit more energetic here, it's a bit more slow-paced and people are more chill and laid back. So I'd say everything in my life has improved ever since moving here to the Philippines.
Okay. So, where do you live right now here in the Philippines?
I actually live just nearby where we are right now here in BGC. I live in So that's about a 5-minute walk from the center, the heart of BGC. And we actually got to experience all the different provinces in the Philippines. A short story, a side story we could get onto in the future is we actually got robbed in Subic. We had thousands of dollars worth of Apple devices and computers. Come to find out, we wake up the next morning, all gone. And so that almost left a bad taste in my mouth from, living in the province. I still love it, don't get me wrong. But we are more made for the city, being from Chicago. So we live about 5 minutes away from the heart of BGC.
Okay. And just give us an idea, for the viewers as well, how much does it cost to have a decent lifestyle here in BGC?
Okay, so I think all in all, the total cost of living will probably be around $2,000 per month. $2,000 per month if you want to live a great lifestyle where you get to go out to the bars, the clubs, or eat out often, experience the gastronomy here. But rent alone will probably cost $800 to $1,200 per month. Then you also have transportation, which is, you don't have to count that in. BGC is walking distance, very walking distance, pedestrian friendly. But I think other than rent and food, your biggest expense, if you want to experience a city, will be entertainment. Okay. If you want to go to the bars, the clubs, massages, and whatnot, that could be $500 to $1,000 per month if you want to have a good time. But if you're a minimalistic person, yeah, $1,500 a month can suffice.
Okay. So, and I have another question. Do you speak Tagalog?
Konti lang, a little bit.
A little bit. And how is it to be traveling the Philippines with, let's say, I won't say zero Tagalog, but with the basic? How is it for you to be traveling around even though you don't speak Tagalog?
It's very interesting, actually. When I first stepped off of the plane, I didn't know a lick of Tagalog. Even though I'm full Filipino, we didn't speak Tagalog back in the States. So when I first moved here, I felt often not discriminated against, but counted out a bit. I felt like an outlier because when I would speak English with everybody, they kind of see me as like, oh, he thinks he's just better than us. He thinks he's a rich kid. Yeah. You know, he's a snob and he won't speak his native language. I just didn't know how to speak Tagalog. So people would make fun of me for that. And I would often, hear people behind my back talk about how they think I'm a snob. But as I learned Tagalog, even with an accent and not being very fluent, people started to accept me. Even saying things as simple as like salamat po. That breaks down the walls and the barriers between me being a Filipino American versus a local here in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you lived 16 years in Chicago, right? Yes. And then you decided to move to the Philippines. What is like the biggest culture shock that you can share with us?
The biggest culture shock?
Yeah.
I gotta say, first thing that comes to mind is the dating.
Okay, dating. Okay.
Dating is highly different. In the U.S., we're very modern when it comes to our dating approach. If I like her and she likes me, that's enough to say we're dating now, and we move forward from there. But here in the Philippines, it's a very long courting process. If I like her, that's not enough, and if she likes me, that's not enough. I have to go to her father, and I have to talk to him first, get his hand in courting her, make my intentions very clear. So the courting process is very slow here in the Philippines, and you actually have to be a gentleman. In the U.S., you can go about it however you want, and girls don't expect you to always be a gentleman. But here in the Philippines, you have to, not that you have to, but it's better if you give her flowers, you pull out the chair for her. More conservative here, and it's definitely a more, old-fashioned approach here. So that was one of my biggest culture shocks. Other than that, I think a small thing was the shower and the toilet being in the same area. We don't have that in the U.S. When you go to the restaurant, in the U.S. we say, "Can I have a napkin, please?" Here they give you a tissue, so a thin piece of paper. So those are the minuscule culture shocks. But really, the main culture shock came from the people. The people and how they interact with one another is a lot more polite and kind than we would treat each other in the U.S.
Since you live in U.S., what are the misconceptions that you encountered in Chicago, knowing that you are Filipino or Asian?
Misconceptions about the Philippines that I've experienced is, I remember distinctly one time I told my classmate, "Hey man, I'm gonna go move over to the Philippines," and he's like, "Why would you do that? It's a third world country, it's poor there." And I see what he means. Philippines gets the reputation of all of it being either jungle, beach, poor, makeshift housing. But what they don't see is the city we're in right now, BGC. Exactly. Or you go to Cebu or you go to Davao. Yeah. You have urbanized metropolises that are very functional. There's a lot of things I've actually experienced here in BGC that's not yet integrated in Chicago, which is quite interesting. It's very interesting to me. So the biggest misconception is that everybody in the Philippines is dirt poor. I don't think that's kind of far from the truth. Yes, the majority of the population makes a low income, but what they don't see is that you have these distinct cities that have a decent earning and are actually relatively expensive.
Expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you consider yourself a foreigner or a Filipino?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. Of course, by heart, It's very hard. Okay, outside I'm Filipino, obviously.
Okay.
But inside I can never, you grow up in the U.S. 16 years, your entire upbringing, not barely even speaking any Tagalog. It's hard for me to fully class myself as a Filipino. And I get hate comments, oh, Evan, you're just rejecting your roots. It's not even that. I just grew up in a different country, no different from an average American, So I guess now I can consider myself a Filipino because I have adapted to the culture. But always in my heart, I'm never going to be fully a local because I grew up in a different environment.
Environment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And any advice? Okay, because I can tell you, you leaving US and coming to the Philippines, moving to the Philippines, I guess, as you say, like you are happier now comparing to before. And I think, as you said, it was a smart decision. What advice would you give to someone right now watching this video, wants to take this risk as well, but he or she is kind of scared because she doesn't know what can she encounter this side?
I think the best thing that you could do, the safest option you could take, is come to the Philippines on your visa-free for 30 days and just explore. Visit, check out as many places as you can, interact with the locals, rent out a unit here, and just see if it's the place for you. I don't want anybody to make a decision like, oh, I've never been to the Philippines, but now all of a sudden I want to stay there permanently. You got to ease yourself into it, get to know the culture and the people, and once you've spent your 30 days here, then you can evaluate if this is a place for you or not.
Okay. Since you have moved here, you also, you talk about dating. Have you dated here? Like, have you dated a Filipino?
I have. I've dated a Filipino in the past for a couple months, and that's in the past now, ex-girlfriend. But I actually really love the women here. They're so kind, very feminine, very compassionate. And something I noticed about them is they're the most caring people I've met, especially compared to back in the U.S. Of course, here and there, just like any other country, you're gonna find women that you don't align with in their values. But because I'm a Christian myself and I'm more conservative, I do align with the values here more so than back home in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Before we go, just one advice to someone that wants to move to the Philippines. What should they know before move to the Philippines?
Be very open-minded. I don't want anybody to come here like how I did in the beginning for the first 2 years with the with the mental framework of saying, all right, this is so different, like this is not like back at home in my country. Of course it's not like back at home in your home country because it's not your home country. So I think when it comes to moving to the Philippines, it's such a diverse country, so it's very important to be open-minded towards the people, towards the places you visit, towards the food, and realize that the reason you're moving to the Philippines is for the different experience. So be prepared for different expectations and be open-minded.
Be open-minded. We have talked about all this topic, and the last one would be, do you have any dark side here in the Philippines? Any dark side of the Philippines?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the only things I'll say on camera right now is that you will come across corruption if you are, I guess, a foreigner. If they know that you speak good English and that they can see that you're not from here. I personally experienced cops that have pulled us over asking for bribes. And it's a sad thing because, these cops are genuinely struggling, but at the same time, you see corrupt activities like them asking you for $10,000 or 200 pesos for them to release you, and if you don't, then they're going to tow your car away. So you'll occasionally come across this, and that's the main thing I can say is the corruption.
Oh, okay. All his info is going to be on the description below. He has a YouTube channel as well. You want to say the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, my channel is The Savvy Expat. The SAVVYEXPAT.
Oh, okay. Please check him out as he's doing a great content about foreigners as well. A lot of guides on how to move in BGC, the Philippines. So all the info gonna be on the description below. Thank you so much, guys, and see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.